Hi, today I want to discuss the pathways to enlightenment and the statement of Sadhguru, this expanding on that, that there are 112 ways in yoga to develop up to the sixth chakra, the Agna chakra, and then to go to the enlightenment chakra, the seventh chakra. There is no way except either through trust or devotion or madness. So, for those who don't know me, let me just quickly go through who I am and the introductions and disclaimers, which is important for YouTube. Firstly, I am Osman. I'm an energy healer on a master level with telepathic capabilities, specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, and a host of other physiological, psychological, and even spiritual ailments, especially treating the adverse effects of involuntary Kundalini awakening. I'm also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher, having practiced for almost 50 years and teaching for 44 years. In that period, having studied under various masters under different schools of yogic thought, and I created my own protocols and adjusted and developed it for the 21st century, making it easier, faster, quicker, and more effective. And if you want to know more about my services, please visit my website, yogawellness786.com. And please remember, my therapies are all natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment. So let's come back to the statement of Sadhguru that enlightenment level, or the going to the from the sixth chakra, his actual words, going from the sixth to the seventh to up to the sixth, there's 112 ways of yoga. Yoga is developed, will take you up to that level. From here onwards to enlightenment level is only one of three. It's not, there is no way to get to it. The only way, he said, is for trust or devotion or madness. And his words, take a pick, right? So when we say trust, trust, what trust? And devotion, what devotion, right? And madness, what madness, right? What do you do? So let's start with madness. This is an interesting. Madness is you undergo and experience this level, in ignorance. You don't care about developing this. You're not going into the scientific study that it is important to develop the lower levels, and you just want to go and have that experience. You're just crazy. You take mushrooms or LSD or DMT, one of the psychedelic drugs, and you just go into it. This is madness, right? You can go there, and there are people who do become mad, right? Who it affects them adversely, and even in the normal, some of them have negative trips, right? And that negative entities that they meet comes into their, so they start imagining or seeing them in their normal day-to-day life, and it troubles them, and they go to horrendous experiences and go for counseling and therapies and medications and all that doesn't help them, and they become insane from that, right? Not everyone, but there is a percentage of people that it happens, and many people, they have pleasant experience and they like doing it more and more often. So a typical example of someone who carried out experimentally from a scientific perspective, and I always like to base everything on science, right, is in the podcast of Professor Andrew Huberman of Stanford University. He is the professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology, and he's got a podcast called the Huberman Labs Essentials podcast. And he had an interview with one of his peers and contemporaries and colleagues, Dr. Koch. Surname is Koch. I forgot his first name. And Dr. Koch is a professor of neurology, right? And he did an experiment himself. It was a special version of DMT, I believe, and he just, they put it in front of him and he sniffed it. He just breathed it in three times, one, two, third breath. He, he saw everything go hexagonal, and he was pushed into this out of body experience that he came back. He couldn't speak for an hour. He was crouched, and crying, right? And he's not someone to cry, right? And it was an experience that was mind blowing. And it, in order to ensure that it's probably, right, my own opinion, that it's not an imagination, he did it second time as well, and he had the same experience. And in his own words, in that particular podcast, when Dr. Huberman said, "Will you do it again?" he said vehemently, emphatically, never, no, never. He will not want to, because it like blows your mind, and it it scrambles everything to pieces, right? Shatters everything to pieces, all logic, all everything. He was not ready for it. There was no knowledge, on that field and sphere, so this is through madness you can attain it. This is madness to use that, and it's very harmful. There's huge side effects to it. And there's a lot of people who practice it regularly. They end up having side effects, where it affects. You can get a brain, you can get a stroke or this thing. And maybe to some people, who's okay, but people who say that they're okay, even they, die prematurely, right? And an example of someone who prematurely died, right? In my opinion. So I don't have any evidence for this, and I just it's an anecdotal and subjective, opinion that I'm giving, and there is no scientific, evidence behind this. So that's the precursor to what I'm about to say, right? Is with Steve Jobs, that that it is rumored that he used to use, psychedelic drugs and go into these trips and get these ideas, and I mean, currently Apple, from his ideas that I believe he got from higher frequencies during his trips, you know, brought his company, currently now it's 2025, the number one company in the world, right? And by far, the second company is like very far behind, in asset value. I think his asset value is in trillions of dollars, right? So it is something that is, we'll say, madness, right? That you're doing this because the science is there. The yoga science is there for thousands of years to develop you safely into it, right? If you, so I'm an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher. None, I'm teaching for 44 years. Even in the Hatha yoga that I teach and in the Kundalini yoga that I teach, zero adverse effects in 44 years of teaching and with students in over 100 countries, right? Zero incidents, because I know what I'm doing and I'm teaching it on a level from my own experience, and I'm creating safer pathways for them to develop, right? And this thing takes time for you to evolve. You need to go in levels from level 1 to level 2, let's say up to level 16, right? Because mindfulness, the 16 levels, right? You have to go through each level. You can't skip the levels, right? But better analogy is academic, qualifications. You have to go to kindergarten and then to primary school, senior, secondary school, and high school, and college and university, postgraduate studies. You can't just go to PhD. You want to go into the PhD class like that. You don't understand. You want to learn calculus, you don't know what is arithmetic and geometry and trigonometry, right? You don't understand all these concepts, and you just want to learn calculus off the bat. You come out of the womb and you can now walk and talk. Now you want to learn, quantum physics. You say, cut everything out. I want to become a physicist. I know what I want to become. I'm now 3 years old. I believe I want to become a physicist. Just leave all the fundamentals and teach me that, right? This is what happens in the DMT level. And there's the science that says the other two is things is trust. Trust is there are people who qualified in these fields and who had these experiences and say, do this, and it is trusting in a teacher who's qualified. So I'm teaching my students, they trusted me and they followed what I said, and they had zero adverse effects, right? And the other one that is described, the middle one, is devotion. So there is, for those who are religious, bhakti yoga and karma yoga. Karma yoga is selfless service. So someone who believes in a faith or in a god or believe in a higher power, and that there is, like the universe has got my back. or Jesus is my Lord and Savior, or Krishna is the only supreme personality of God, or Allah, la ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah, and there is only one. So you, whatever is your faith and belief, right? Or you believe in mindfulness, right? Nirvana, that you can develop to the highest level of consciousness. You have full devotion and faith. So devotion, another word for devotion would be faith, right? You have full faith in that. That can help. And also, when you are living on that level, usually is people who, to encourage and the development of that, is selfless service. This also helps, right? This part of yoga, bhakti yoga and karma. So bhakti yoga doesn't mean you have to take one of the 33 million gods and worship it. No, it just means a pathway of faith. So it could even mean your faith in, there's a higher power, or the universe you believe, is energy. Supreme energy is everything and controlling everything and can bring about manifestation. Or you believe in, a specific god or something, or you believe that everything works in a certain way scientifically. You have full faith in that this thing has to happen. There is a scientific protocol that if you do steps 1, 2, 3, it's going to bring about a result 4. This is science, right? And you have 100% conviction in that. Does it work all the time? No. Maybe working 99.99% of the time, or most of the time. Some protocols, no matter how sure you are, doesn't always. There's no guarantee, that it'll work. But you're following that, and how can science bring you to that? Yes, science maybe is now coming to the border. It's come to the threshold where it can give you that experience with the, chemically. So currently, Harvard Medical University is studying the how DMT or psychedelics can work in a safe environment. So they need to do this over a 10-year period with large groups and so forth, right? Maybe 20 year, and then eventually there have to be an epidemiological study, right, where they have to do it across like 30 to 50 years or 100 years, but 30 to 50-year period across a very large volume of people worldwide from different cultures and different parts of society and life conditions, that it must bring about consistent result, right? So it's still in the way of development, but it's already there. It's already being developing, and they already have the theory. Possibly this is the way, right? So it's also trying to remove the madness out of, the madness element, as I described, previously. And they're also experimenting Harvard with meditation science as well. But my assertion is that they need to combine, hatha yoga at least, and pranayama, the correct methods, and meditation, the correct protocols. And they've already onto it, right, with meditation, with mindfulness practice. That is 100% on the button. It is a safe method that even I recommend to all my students. Although myself not following that method, I give them my method and that, but they always prefer that method because it's easier for them. It's got very concrete steps, concretized steps that any person can follow and develop in step 1, 2. You've got 16 steps, and they are not mystical and uh, you know uh, hocus pocus method, and not going into otherworldly, phenomena and abstract phenomena. Although I believe science has evolved in regard to the frequencies of the brain, of going into the four major frequencies of the beta state, which everyone is in a very stressed out state, where they are becoming influenced by, positives and negative experiences in their life, heavily influenced and identifying with those levels. And then the alpha state, where you're withdrawn, from it, and you remain in a state of equanimity, equanimous mind, whether, ups or down. Yes, you feel a bit happy or elated, and you feel, depressed and sad, but you don't become consumed by it, and you shake yourself out of it in minutes, right? 15 to 30 minutes, and you're back to your alpha state and you get the theta state, it is the very uh, still frequency when the mind is becoming still, right? And you are in that feeling of silence and stillness, and you feel very therapeutic, like like there's a buzz overcoming you, and it's such an amazing feeling, right? That everything is so peaceful and so calm, and you're going into that. It takes time to develop that, the theta level, or the just before you could fall asleep, you experience that level, when your eyes is closing and you can't keep your eyes open, and you're about to fall asleep, about to dream, and even they in hypnosis they bring you to that level, and then they take you into delta. Delta is you're not aware of what happened, right? You go into, like, you even go into delta in your deep sleep, where you could not even dreaming in that state. There is no thought, no awareness, no I. And in meditation, you feel it as gaps in time because you don't know. We sit in meditation. I used to sit up to 16 to 18 hours a day meditating, right? And I never experienced 16 to 8. I only experienced 20 minutes, right? I'm feeling I'm meditating 20 minutes, and it was like 16 to 18 hours later. I open my eyes, I see, a day is almost completed, right? Because I went into delta, the no thought, non-experience. It's zero. It's no experience, no feeling, no awareness. There's no I, me, you, nothing. It's just blank. It's power off, lights out, but not sleeping, right? And everything in your body function, even your head, you can't hold it. It drops, right? In that, and you're not sleeping because you're just lights out, right? So yes, some people can say assert that this guy fell asleep, not meditating, he's sleeping, right? But you in awareness, and you open your eyes in awareness, not like you're coming out of your sleep, right? And the delta state, you to manually go into practicing to manually go in and out of the delta state, right? So there is all these aspects of meditation science and so forth that is becoming more and more possible to bring into a form of protocol and investigate. And I developed these protocols uniquely, to address the four layers, right? To address your physical layer through hatha yoga, to address your mental layer through pranayama, and to address your higher superconscious level, developing your higher capacities of your brain through meditation, and powering it up through kriya, speeding up the process from 100 to 1,000 times faster, to awakening the higher levels, of the brain centers, to activate the highest potential of the human, right? So all these levels are there, and madness, right, or devotion, or trust, right, can only take you to that level. So trusting in a teacher or science will eventually come there, and following. So there are some levels of meditation that is already scientifically studied and approved by science, with over 50,000 experiments and papers affirming its positiveness, is in the mindfulness meditation practice. So the reason science went behind mindfulness meditation practice and not the other meditation, because the other meditation practices have mystical components to it, which is not provable by science. But in mindfulness meditation, or the Buddhist form of Vipassana meditation, has got the 16 steps. So if you can Google the 16 steps of mindfulness meditation, it'll give you, they all something that everyone can progress step by step. Okay, now you can do this, now do this, now do this, now do this, now do this. Even the 16th step, it's not something that you don't know, it's just that it's difficult to perform, and you need to practice the lower levels before the 16th level become easier, right? But everything is possible, and it's very, you can analyze and experiment and measure, right? So there is the trust element coming from also following scientific things, but scientific methods are not advanced enough to take you safely into the enlightenment level, right? But there are certain teachers who can, teachers like myself, and Sadhguru can take you there. Of course, I can't compare myself to Sadhguru, right? There's no way. It's just that I understand the methods, and this is what brings it, this is what fast forwards it, but results may vary among students, depending on the level that they are on, naturally, genetically, and psychologically. Everyone's got influence of society and the experiences that have baggages in the subconscious mind, right? And that's why the results vary, and genetically preponderance towards certain fears or certain likes and dislikes that you inherit from your genetic side. So the study of epigenetics comes into play and shows and proves this, that genetically certain habits and preponderances are inherited. It's not something from you as well. So it is the genetic memory. you know and then there's also evolutionary memory, right? You are evolved into to a certain level, into a human form, and then by eating animal foods you don't become an animal, right? So coming back to this three levels, you have to choose a teacher who you're going to trust, that's going to show you the pathway. And before you make a decision on a teacher, I would strongly advise you to listen to multiple schools of thought. And the best resource that I could find that does a very thorough investigation of so many schools of thought and leaders who are very experienced in different methods is Buddha at the gas pump. There is this, you can go on YouTube and search for Buddha at the gas pump, or there is a podcast, or even on Spotify, Buddha at the gas pump, right? Podcast that's hosted by Rick Archer, who himself is a practitioner of meditation and the yogic sciences and spirituality very broadly himself, studied for 50 years. He's practicing, very seriously. Currently, I know his protocol is 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour at night. I think he's been doing this for 50 years, but for sure he's been practicing meditation, for 50 years. Like myself, not even reached 50 years, like almost 50 years practicing, the yoga sciences. But and he also investigated many schools, much more schools, because his interviews currently are around 740 interviews with 740 different aspects or from different people's perspective. You're going to get all so many perspective of people who are quite advanced in the field, either in their practice. They've generally all written books and leaders in the field, right? He's very carefully selects who to interview. You can study all that and then choose a teacher from the knowledge and resources that you gain from there. That's what I would say, with trust. Devotion is a very subjective thing, and it's not easy. It's like not I don't know how to explain that to you, and how someone can be devoted and get it, because just some people go into this experience of samadhi in devotion through religious, right, through the religion. And if we make an assertion like that, if you look at the religions, what percentage, it's a fraction of a percentage, maybe not even that. It is so little that you can almost say you can round it up to zero, you know so I think following like pathways from the trust element of trusting some type of pathway, and following a pathway where there is other people that generally obtain a lot of success. So the pathway that I teach, most of my students experience success very fast. So the difference between my methods and other methods is the experience is quick. So usually when I prepare my students, normally it takes a day, one session that takes 45 minutes to an hour, and then I teach them a protocol, would take, to explain it can take an hour or two, but it can be explained in 15 minutes, right? And they practice within 24 to 48 hours, within 1 to 2 days, they have an outer body experience. It is not uncommon, among my students, but but not uncommon, right? This is a very common feature among many of my students, having outer body experience, within 1 to 2 days, and not uncommon for those who are committed to the practice on a daily basis, which I told them, which is only a 20 to 30 minutes, right? Maximum 1 hour, right? If they on their own wants to go, but a 20 to 30-minute daily practice, right? Daily basis, and just observing a very I don't say become a vegetarian or leave this thing. I say follow a sensible diet with add a lot of wholesome. 70 to 80% of your food should be wholesome from plant sources, and try to minimize your animal proteins and so forth. So my student, and then they attain the breathless state, right? Within a 12-month period. It's not uncommon. And the student, one of my prime students that achieved it, is the best example. Also consumes wine, drinks socially, right? Not an alcoholic, but when she's invited, she goes. She will have wine when she get family gathering, wine or other spirits as well. She didn't tell me what alcohol exactly, and she's not into like I'm only wine or anything. She's quite flexible, a social drinker, and she eats all types of food, omnivore food, but she prioritizes having wholesome foods, in a diet, and she experienced the breathless state within 12 months, right? This is following a trust. So there's a difference between my methods and other. Devotion, I would say, yes, I experienced samadhi level, and felt unconscious from the ecstasy and the bliss in prayer because I'm religious by nature from childhood. But can I duplicate it? I couldn't duplicate it with even one person, right? In 44 years, right? With students from over 100 countries. I couldn't duplicate the devotional thing that I experienced with them. And I don't even attempt to do it. But those I encourage, yes, you can go into it. And I'm part of many, I don't, although, yes, I have my choice of, faith and so forth, right? But I don't, look negatively on other, thoughts and other religions and so forth. And I totally respect every, field and thought, and everyone, to his own method. And I respect everyone, right? And I listen to everyone as well. And of course, I can't follow like 10 paths. Okay, I chose my path, and it didn't come naturally, like that. It took me, I evolved, when I found that this path no longer works for me, then I chose another path, for another 10 years, 5 10 years. Then eventually, I got, and then even the final path that I chose, I refined it like after 10 years, and then after another 6 7 years, I refined it even further. It like starts going and evolving, because you are not the same person, right? You are evolving. Your habits and choices also has to evolve, right? Not stagnating. So coming back to madness, I do not recommend. Devotion part, what Sadhguru speaks about, I would say is very difficult. But trust that works, and can bring you, even if, like, if you reach for the stars, but you land on the moon, at least you went to outer space, right? So, like that, following these pathways. So, there are many interviews. As a very typical example in the Buddha at the gas pump interview is the interview with David Godman. You can search it, it's been something recent now. I think interview number 730 something, right? 34 or 36 or something, right? But 730 something. You can search the interviews by number also, right? It's on, you can get links to his website from his channel, right? YouTube channel. But just quickly to mention, it's Batgap, BATGAP.com, right? Batgap, I used to wonder what it means. Is it about bats and a gap that the bats find and so forth? Meanwhile, Buddha at the gas pump. It is a acronym for his name. B for Buddha, uh, A for at, T for the gas. GA is for gas, and P for pump. Buddha at the gas pump. Batgap.com. I'm wondering how come such a name that's been selected. So you can even go to the website, and it's an amazing resource that I could say. If there's anything, of course, I never collaborate with Rick Archer. He doesn't know me from above. So I only recently came across his podcast, and I'm not getting paid by him, to mention this. I'm not getting any money for it. It's just something I very strongly believe in, when it comes to this level of trust, that you want to reach the highest level. The best available resource on the planet, the available, I believe, is batgap.com. Rick Archer is number one, above even Sadhguru, because Sadhguru got one school of thought, right? His school of thought. Ramana Maharishi got one school of thought, his school of thought. Christianity and Jesus got one school of thought, right? Islam has got one school of thought, right? And Judaism has got one school of thought, right? But badgap.com, he investigate experts from all fields, everything, and you make your choice. You can really broaden your knowledge. If ever you can go through all seven, or you can choose, you can go to his website and choose which ones, sparks your interest. Some of the lectures, it really makes me heart sore to listen, and I feel very frustrated listening to the ignorance level. But I still respect. There's still some good in it. In everything, I do find some good. I don't worry about the things that I don't agree with. I worry about the things that I'm going to learn and absorb from it, right? Because we want to evolve, right? And we want to go to higher levels, and we want to find a way and a scientific formula to go from the sixth level to the. So where Sadhguru says there is no way except through trust, devotion, or madness, I would say, my opinion, from my various levels of studying, various levels of experience, right? Um, Even Rick Archer doesn't mention, experience of enlightenment level or the thing. You only, reach the level of, the serenity and the quietness of the mind, right? I've experienced Samadhi, 5 times in my life. And of course, I didn't focus on going onto it again and again, because it's not an experience. When you have that experience, it's not something you want to just go into, because it's overwhelming. And I understand when Professor Koch, in his interview with Dr. Andrew Huberman in the Huberman Essentials, the Huberman Labs Essentials podcast, or Professor Andrew Huberman of Stanford University says, "Will you, after experimenting with the 2 times, will you do it again?" Never. No. Vehemently and with full conviction, he said never. So do I want to go in? No, I don't want to go. I lose who you are, and it's like overwhelming. I want to still be me. And I'm happy with me and living my life how I want, contributing. This is what I'm doing. I'm contributing my knowledge, and what I've attained to give in my piece, of my contribution, no matter how little it is. But I feel I can't have this experience and knowledge on advanced levels, and it's unique, levels, without sharing it. It's important that I share it. So I'm doing my bit, and I feel that is good, and still living my life. And I've got my business that I'm running, my energy healing business, and I've got, in wellness, advanced yoga and meditation, and also, with recommending, supplements, because I'm an independent distributor for Herbalife International, and trying to enrich people's life through wellness. And I wasn't always doing that, right? In wellness, it's just when I turned 50, I said I'm going to start focusing on just commercial enterprises in making money only, because that's what I didn't feel. Although yes, I was trying to offer a service, but it was more profit centric, not contribution centric. So I wanted to go into well, because it's always been a passion of mine. And all my clients know, in my past, where I did specialize in commercial real estate brokerage. And when I spoke to them that I'm, doing this full time, they said, "Wow, at last you are doing full time your passion." Because whenever I spoke to them, I used to always speak about, wellness and meditation, important of a good diet, important of exercise and introducing exercise, important of, your mindset and everything. I used to always speak passionately about this. And I had many, comments of that. At last I'm doing, what I was passionate about. And a lot of people who know me from my past knows that, yoga, meditation, and, wellness was always a passion of mine from childhood, right? But I had to do the normal thing, get to work and study in university, and, get into choosing the right field, and, leaving the field that I felt this is not right for me. And until I came to entrepreneurship, when I was, which was 29 years ago, and I'm still using this current my passion in an entrepreneurial manner. I'm using my entrepreneurial skills to market it, to market my, advanced yoga meditation services and so forth, right? And the energy healing, and of course using it to perfect my energy levels on a daily basis. I'm always improving, on my energy. If you met me a month ago and now, a month ago from now, my energy is so much better and higher. right? And I'm that much faster. What was normally taking me usually 4.5 hours eventually came down to 30 minutes. And day before yesterday, right? I did energy healing for someone with migraine headaches in London, right? Which is not in the country that I'm in now, right? Across borders, I did it in 4 minutes flat. All medication were not removing it, right? And he knew me. He was a past, he's a close friend of mine now, and a past client as well, and he experienced the power of my therapy. And eventually he mentioned he doesn't try to trouble me because I'm so busy. And it took me 4 minutes flat, right? What would normally take like many hours, right, to do. Because my energy levels, I'm keep working on my own self, improving myself on a daily basis. So coming to that trust formula, this is the formula I believe and follow. You can expand your knowledge through backgap.com or Buddha at the gas pump, um, podcast or YouTube channel. You can search that, and as a resource to expand your knowledge. Is good to have knowledge and then make a choice, an informed decision, right? To take a calculated risk, because your life is your life, your time. I'm so sad that people waste so many decades of their life and achieving nothing. I know so many people. My latest student was spending 63 years, right, in practicing something that took her nowhere, right? Imagine that, nowhere it took her. 63 years dedicated practicing daily. This is such a travesty. Anyway, hope that information helps you, and take care of yourself always.